What is up, everybody? We are rolling audio here today on episode 48 of The Hottest Show. How you doing? I hope you are doing absolutely fan-fucking-tastic. I am just at the tail end of my cold here. As you can hear, I'm still a little pluggy on up here. My throat's still a little weird, so if I go into a random coughing fit, I apologize. I'm sitting here sipping on some honey lemon tea, but hopefully that will help with the coughing fits. But I digress. Thank you for taking the time to tune in today, letting me come into your home, your car, your place of business, your gym, whatever you're doing, however you're listening, whatever you are doing while you're listening to the podcast here today. Thank you. I sincerely appreciate it. We got an awesome show lined up for you here today. I'm going to talk about the WWE draft that just happened on Tuesday. I'm going to talk about who was drafted, talk about what it means for those people, and so on and so forth. And just kind of give a review of everything, just in case anyone has yet to see the draft. If you couldn't watch it live or anything, it was a pretty interesting event. Basically, what they did was they did some of it live on Raw. Live on SmackDown Live. The first episode of SmackDown Live, and then they did some of it kind of on the network, like a draft event. So it was definitely interesting. Some NXT call-ups, some moves from Raw over to SmackDown, so on and so forth. Definitely some surprising names drafted from NXT, which I guess is kind of the bigger thing here, because I mean, when you get down to it, being drafted from Raw to SmackDown as of right now, I don't think it means as much as it would have if the brands were already split. The next draft I do, I think, will definitely mean a little bit more. But definitely there's some interesting stuff that happened. Definitely some interesting names moved over and moved around and so forth. So I'm going to talk all about that. But first, I just want to remind everybody that next Thursday, a week from today, Thursday, July 28th, is the Harder Show's 50th episode. It is we're going to be doing a live cast live on YouTube. It's going to be absolutely awesome. It's going to be so much fun. So be sure to check out that Facebook event page if you have not yet. I will be posting all links once we are live. What we're going to do it a little differently than before. Instead of going immediately live and then sharing the link, I'm going to maybe try and go live like maybe 10 minutes prior to 8 o'clock, which is the official start time. And I'm going to just have like kind of like a black screen or whatever the hell. And that way, hopefully we will avoid anyone being left out like last time. There were some bugs to get worked out, and I think we've gotten them worked out now, me and my producer, Mr. Brandon Bowden. So it should be an awesome event. I'm really looking forward to it, to hanging out with you guys. I'm very, very excited for it. If you could not tell, I am very, very excited for it. It's going to be awesome. Another thing I want to plug for the Harder Show is, as of this morning, actually, about an hour ago, I have officially placed my order for the Harder Show t-shirts. That's right, the Harder Show t-shirts that I hyped like 3 months ago. The order has finally been placed. They are coming. So to my good friend, Mr. The Heel Ryan Wood and Dawson from Death by Carl, buddy, if you're listening, you are getting your t-shirt. I have sent you a couple messages and have not heard back from you. I'm not sure if it's just something going on with my phone. My phone's a little weird lately, so hopefully that's all it is. But Ryan and Dawson, you have your shirts coming. Everyone who ordered a t-shirt and gave me a money order for the t-shirt, you have t-shirts coming. There was a lot of people who commented on the statuses saying they wanted a t-shirt. But I never heard back from them about a size or about the money order or anything. So unfortunately, to those people, I do not have a t-shirt coming on this order. I apologize. Without knowing a size, I couldn't really order you one. There was a few people who I knew the size and I didn't get money from them. I just kind of ordered it anyway, just because I know they're good for it. But if I didn't hear back from you about the size, unfortunately, you don't have a t-shirt coming. So sorry about that to anybody who may be bummed out about that. I did order kind of a couple extra sizes of a few sizes, and there may be some t-shirts left over for me to just kind of sell, just kind of, like on the as an afterthought, almost, so to speak. So definitely keep an eye out for that. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait to finally have these t-shirts and to be able to just wear them all the time. I'm literally ordering like 3 t-shirts for myself. So literally anytime you guys see me, I'm going to be wearing a Hotter Show t-shirt because I am a mark for myself, and that's just how it goes. So definitely a lot of cool stuff going on for the Hotter Show. I'm very excited for that. But I would be remiss, that's right, remiss, to not take a second to mention the man who made the t-shirt possible, the man who made my new logo and that for the Harder Show 50th live cast possible. And that man is Mr. Jason Reese from Jaybird Digital Arts. You guys know how awesome he is and how awesome his stuff is. I've mentioned him pretty much on every podcast since episode 30, even maybe before that. And it's because I believe in Jason. I believe in his product. He is a great guy. He does awesome work. There's a lot of people out there who do kind of like the digital art media, that kind of thing. And really, Jason, I feel that he's not only is he one of the best at what he does, but he's quick, he's dedicated, he's a nice guy, he's a fan, he's a big supporter of the podcast. I know he is because I'll see him comment, he'll share stuff. When I talk to him in messages, he'll mention the podcast or whatever. So I always appreciate their support. And even if Jason wasn't supporting the podcast the way he was, I would still take a second to mention him just because I believe in his product that much, guys. It is that good of stuff, especially once I get these t-shirts. I'm going to be super pumped. The t-shirts are a great quality, and the design he did is a great quality as well. So very excited for that. You can find Jason if you need any kind of digital media or digital art of any kind. You can find him on the web at www.jaybird, that's Jaybird, Jaybird, digitalarts.ca. You can also find him on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. He's got everything. So definitely be sure to check him out if you need anything like that. And one more plug I want to give here before we get rolling into this WWE draft episode. For fans of watching people get punched in the face violently in the Kingston, kind of Belleville area, there's an awesome event coming your way that Jaybird Digital Arts had a part in. It is the MMA Legends Fight League, hosted by revpromotions.ca. It is going to be a very, very awesome MMA event. It's September 9th at the Kingston Memorial Center. The Kingston Memorial Center. That's at 303 York Street, Kingston, Ontario. Going to be a very awesome event. Doors are at 5, fights at 6. General admission tickets are $35 in advance, and they're $40 at the door. It's going to be an awesome event. You can go on Rev Promotions website at www.revspromotions, that's REV, revpromotions.ca. You can check out all the listings and everything there, all the dogs and conditions of sales and so forth. It's going to be an awesome event. The intermission is going to be featuring the thrash gods of the local scene, so to speak, in that area, Psycho. If you guys have not heard Psycho before, I highly recommend checking them out. You can find them on Facebook, and you can find them on the web at www.psychomusic, that's all one word, .ca. Very awesome band. They've been going since like the late 80s or 80s, I think. They're an awesome, just kind of legendary band in the scene. Very good stuff. They're going to be playing at halftime. I hope they play in the cage, because that'd be awesome, but we'll see what happens. So it's going to be a very awesome event for fans of watching people get punched in the face violently and blasted and choked out and so forth, and for fans of thrash metal. It's going to be awesome, so be sure if you're in the area to check that event out. You can go, again, that website to go to is www.revpromotions, that's all one word, promotions, REV promotions.ca. All right, with all that out of the way, thank you folks, guys. Let me get some plugs in and kind of talk about some stuff going on for the Harder Show. We are going to get into this WWE draft episode right now. Let's get into it. All right, we are back and ready to talk about the WWE draft. That's right. I just kind of rhymed a little bit. Funk Master TJ over here. No, but seriously, the WWE draft, it was pretty awesome. There's a lot of superstars to cover. Some of them I might have a little spiel to say about. Some of them I might not. It just depends on who it is. There were 60 overall superstars who were involved in the draft, ranging from current main rosters to NXT stars and all over the place. So definitely very cool. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens. The one other thing with the whole WWE draft thing and the brand split is, if you guys don't know, Shane McMahon is going to be running SmackDown, and Stephanie McMahon is going to be running Raw. I can't say I'm surprised about that. Stephanie's definitely been around a little more, so it kind of makes a little bit more sense for her to be running Raw. I love that Shane McMahon's been back. I think Shane's probably got some great ideas and that kind of thing, but I see him running SmackDown as the better choice. Both of them have selected a general manager, which is very cool. Raw's general manager, of course, being none other than Mr. Mick Foley, one of my top 5 favorite wrestlers of all time, which I will make that list another day. And SmackDown having a big surprise. I didn't expect to see this coming at all, in Mr. Daniel Bryan being the general manager of SmackDown. It's awesome. I think SmackDown's definitely going to be more the kind of the wrestling oriented show, having some of the names that were drafted, not all of them, but definitely some of them. I see really it being the main focus for kind of the hardcore fans, whereas Raw's probably going to stay more the kind of the flagship storyline driven, show on the WWE, which is fine. I don't watch Raw a whole lot anymore. That 3 hours kills me. Sitting through that 3 hours, it just kills me. But I may start watching SmackDown depending on what's going on. I catch SmackDown whenever I can. The whole thing with me, I should probably say right off the bat, for those of you who don't know, I mean, obviously I'm a massive wrestling fan. You guys know that well by now. But I can't always watch WWE live. Just because I don't have satellite or anything, so I usually have to watch things after the fact, like the draft and so forth. But definitely, I am still a big wrestling fan, and I will be catching SmackDown as much as I possibly can, especially kind of once they get rolling. Some of the names they've drafted, I'm definitely interested to see what happens with some characters. So without further ado, I'm just going to kind of jump into this here. Now, first off, we have one superstar who I guess was number 60 in the draft, who was not actually drafted. And I know they're doing a funny storyline with that. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens with it. I like this superstar. I've always kind of liked him. Something about him, he's always just struck a chord with me, and that's Heath Slater. His whole gimmick with the social outcast and that, I didn't see it going on for much longer. I didn't know how much longer they could keep going, so it looks like they may have split some of them up. So that's definitely a good thing that they've done that. I don't think the social outcasts had much more gas left in the tank. Actually, Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas were at the WWE live event that we unfortunately did not get to do a podcast on. And they had a match, and it was good. Like, they're entertaining, they're funny guys, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. But Heath Slater was number 60, and he was undrafted. And there's all these pictures of him just kind of sitting on the chair, just like staring into space, all depressed that he didn't get drafted. And it's just funny. Like, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with that. I'm very excited to see where they go with that and what he decides to do with that. So that's Heath Slater, undrafted, the only person who was not drafted in this WWE draft. And coming in at number 55 was someone who was actually drafted, and she is from NXT. Now, I have to be honest, I am very surprised this individual got drafted when she did. I figured she had maybe a bit more of a run left in her in NXT, and I'm really surprised of where they're sending her. And that individual is Carmella. Now, if you guys don't know who Carmella is, she's an NXT diva. NXT women's wrestler. Every once in a while, I'll still say diva. It's awesome they made that change, but I still once in a while will say diva on the podcast here, just because I'm so used to saying it. But it is awesome they changed it and everything, and I fully support it and so forth. But Carmella, she started in being teamed with Enzo and Cass. She is Big Cass's girlfriend in real life. At least I think so. They still are. Maybe they are anymore. I don't know. But she's awesome. She's improved so much in the ring. She's got a good character. She's got a good look. Like, everything about her, I think, is awesome. Definitely decent on the mic. She's got a lot of charisma, and the fans like her. She got over really quickly. When she was with Enzo and Cass, they booed her a lot. I don't know why they didn't like her, but they like her now. She still has definitely some elements of the Enzo and Cass, the realest chick in the ring and so on and so forth. But she has been drafted to SmackDown Live, which, just quick spoiler alert, Enzo and Cass were not drafted to SmackDown. So I'm definitely interested to see where that goes. I figured that they would have brought Carmella up with Enzo and Cass once she kind of got a little more over on her own, but I guess they want to keep them split up. They kind of want to just see where she goes. I guess she has a lot of potential to be a great women's competitor in the WWE, so definitely going to be interested to see what happens there. Now, coming in at number 58, we have one member of the Social Outcast, Curtis Axel. Definitely one of the more underrated guys on the roster, I think, as far as his actual in-ring ability. Is he anything like his father? No. For those of you who don't know, Mr. Perfect, Curt Hennings, is Curtis Axel's father. And of course, Larry the Axe Hennig is his grandfather, where he gets his name. I always liked him. He always had some, cool maneuvers he did. And the McGillicudder was always a cool move. He doesn't use it anymore, but he was always a good talent. I mean, he can't talk worth a flying shit, and I say that with respect because a lot of guys can't talk. And I mean, if I was a wrestler, I couldn't talk. So, but he's not bad on the mic. He's not. He has a good character. He's got a good look with his beard and that. Now he looks a little more rough and tough. He's good in the ring. I mean, so hopefully him being drafted to Raw, which is the flagship show, hopefully they do something with him. It'll be interesting to see what happens if they keep going with the Social Outcasts or what ends up happening. But we will have to see in the future what happens with Mr. Curtis Axel. I would like to see him go back to using the McGillicudder, but that's just me. So coming in at number 57 is, in my opinion, the biggest surprise of this entire draft. I did not see this coming at all. I am very surprised in seeing where they're going to go with this, because I don't personally think this individual is ready to be on the main roster, but apparently they see something in him. I know he's improved tenfold from the first time I saw him to recently, and that guy is Mr. Mojo Rawley, who was drafted to SmackDown Live from NXT. He's probably best known as being one half of the Hype Bros with Zack Ryder. Mojo has put in a lot of work, but it's pretty well known in the wrestling world that he's not the greatest in the ring. He's got a great character. He has a lot of charisma. He can talk a little bit. He's got a cool gimmick, that he ain't hype, It's cool. He's entertaining as hell. So I see that probably being the reason why he was drafted to SmackDown. They probably need some more charismatic guys. I don't know if they're going to team him and Zack Ryder up. I know Zack Ryder's kind of isn't really doing anything a whole lot. But I don't actually recall right now if Zack Ryder was in the draft or not. I feel like a doof, but it's what it is. But it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. I'm very curious to see what happens. I'm hoping Mojo rises to the occasion. Since he is a fully homegrown NXT star, he was trained all in the NXT Performance Center. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Mojo. I wish him nothing but the best. Even if he isn't the greatest in the ring. That's not necessarily me talking shit or nothing. Just I know from seeing him work sometimes he's a little. He's still a little green, but we'll see what happens. Wish him nothing but the best. And coming in at number 56 is Dana Brooke, who has been drafted to Raw. Dana, she's improved a lot in the ring as well. She can talk. She's got an annoying as hell voice, so she's a perfect heel. She has the look that, that the WWE likes, kind of blonde, quote unquote bombshell, even though she's not my type, whatever. So definitely going to be interesting to see what happens with that. They keep teaming her with Charlotte or not. Interesting to see what happens there. But number 55, we have one member of the Wyatt family, Mr. Eric Rowan. Now, I know for a fact that the 3 members of the Wyatt family have been broken up. One of them was sent to Raw and 2 of them were sent to SmackDown. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens here. I've always liked Eric Rowan. Something about him, his work in the ring, he's an agile enough big guy that he can do some cool stuff. That spinning big boot he does is always cool to see. We know he can't really talk, but I would still like to see him do something. I think he's got a lot of potential. He's always going to be somewhat associated with this Eric Rowan character. Like, I think him going off on his own and trying to make it as a whole new character isn't going to work. Because I don't think he's quite over enough yet to pull that off. But when he was on his own, when the Wyatts first broke up, I liked his character. Where he was like kind of like a quiet guy who said 1 or 2 words. And he was like a face, and he was like, I don't like bullies and all that kind of shit. I was kind of like, okay, cool, I can dig it, So it's definitely interesting. He definitely does some great work in the ring, and he's been drafted to SmackDown Live. So it'll definitely be interesting to see what happens with Mr. Eric Rowan and the whole rest of the Wyatt family. Just kind of to see what happens. Maybe they're going to do a divide and conquer storyline. I don't know, but we'll see what happens. And rounding in round number 11. Try and say that 10 times fast. We have Miss Elisa Fox, who has been drafted to Raw. Elisa Fox gets a lot of shit talking done to her, mainly from What Culture. I have nothing against Elisa Fox. I mean, she's definitely a diva, and I say that with respect. Just that era is when she came in. She's on Total Divas. Like, literally, she is, in my opinion, the epitome of a diva. Not that that's a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Being a quote-unquote diva in WWE still at this point is not a bad thing. It just means, if I don't see Elisa Fox winning the Women's Championship anytime soon. Maybe she'll surprise me. She's always been decent enough in the ring. She's a decent enough talker. So, I mean, she has potential, and she's still pretty damn young. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with her. Hopefully she can maybe shed a bit of her skin, so to speak, as a total diva, quote unquote. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. But that was round number 11. Most of these rounds here were done on the WWE Draft Center Live on the WWE Network. And something else I should probably mention about the announced teams, and I hope I don't get this wrong because I don't have it in front of me right now. The announced teams have all changed up. The biggest one being Raw. Raw, we are now going to have the team still led by Michael Cole, but it's going to be Michael Cole, Byron Saxton, and joining them, which I am so pumped about. I'm literally going to watch Raw now just to hear him, is Mr. Corey Graves. Now, if you guys don't know who Corey Graves is, he was, I don't know if he's still going to be doing NXT, but he was the heel announcer on NXT, and he's awesome. He was also an amazing in-ring competitor. Unfortunately, his career was cut short by concussion issues. He can talk his ass off. He is great. He is a great heel. He has in-ring experience, so he brings that to the table. He's kind of like a new age Jerry Lawler, if that makes any sense. And of course, with Jerry not being on Raw anymore, he's definitely going to be playing the heel announcer. So I can't wait to hear what he's going to say to Byron Saxton. I just can't friggin' wait, because it's going to be hilarious to hear what he's going to say to Byron Saxton, because Byron's kind of the punching bag. So definitely need to see what happens. I mean, Michael Cole leading the team. Michael is the most experienced announcer they have, so I know they'll be fine. I'm hoping they let Corey Graves go all out and don't produce him too much and just kind of let him be Corey Graves, because he's awesome on his own and he will get over with the fans so quickly. The fans who haven't heard him, he'll get over quick as hell with them. So definitely interesting to see what happens. Maybe see Byron be less of a punching bag, but it is what it is. I like the role he plays, so we'll see. And of course, the SmackDown announced team being led by Mr. Mauro Ranallo. I never pronounce his name right, but I try. AKA probably the best announcer in the business right now, even though I used to talk a lot of shit about him. Not talk shit, but just he wasn't over with me when he first came in. I respected his work, but I was like, he's just some sports announcer guy who's looking for a paycheck. And then I heard him a couple times and I went, okay, no, like, this guy's the real deal. He knows the product, he knows wrestling, so it's like, you know what, nah, like this guy's awesome, he's legit, and I love him now. He's amazing at what he does. So it's gonna be Mauro Ranallo with Mr. JBL, obviously playing the heel announcer, which he does great. So now instead of "I love him, Mago," it's gonna be "I love him, Mauro." So, which is close enough. So that's gonna be awesome. The first time he says that, I see that happening. And of course, their third man, the punching bag of this team, definitely is surprising. That's Mr. David Otunga. Good for David Otunga, to still be kicking around after all these years of doing nothing. I know he does like some pre-show stuff and that kind of thing, but is he qualified to be sitting there? I don't personally think so, but that's just me. He's got an okay voice for announcing. He knows wrestling enough. He'll bring that wrestler's edge to it, so to speak, as well, I guess. But definitely be interesting to see what happens. He's definitely the Byron Saxton of SmackDown, so we'll see what happens. And of course, NXT is still Mr. Tom Phillips, and I guess Corey's going to be doing it with him still. Maybe they'll bring someone else in to do it. I'm not sure, but we'll see what happens there. And Jerry and Booker T are going to be doing all the pre-shows as well still, with Renee Young and whoever else decides to join them that time. I guess Corey Graves still. So it'll be cool still seeing Jerry and Booker T at the pre-shows. I always try and watch the pre-shows for pay-per-view whenever I can, because I actually always enjoy them. Especially if Jerry's only going to be there now, I'll be sure to watch them for that reason. So those are the announced teams. I just wanted to get that in real quick here. And we're going to get back into the draft here with round number 10 and the picks, 53 through 48. With number 53 being, I lost my article here. There we go. Sorry, guys. Number 53 being the Vaudevillains, a.k.a. One of the most over tag teams in NXT in their own way, to being a team that's kind of floundered on the main roster. And I say floundered with respect because they're still good in the ring and everything, and their gimmicks, I think, okay on the main roster. They've just seem to have had a bad go of it, I'm drawing a blank on his damn name right now. The Simon Gotch. God, I gotta forget that. With Simon Gotch injuring Enzo Amore a couple months ago there. They've kind of been floundering from that, not winning the tag team championships. Apparently, it was reported on the dirt sheet, so to speak, which I only believe them to a certain point, that Simon Gotch and Sin Cara got into a bit of an altercation, a legit shoot altercation at the WWE draft. So that's interesting. I'm curious to see if that even was a real thing or what the hell happened there. We may not hear anything else about it, but apparently they got into a bit of a scuffle. So that's really bad for the Vaudevillains. That was really, really bad. They have so much potential. They're a great heel tag team. Heel Vaudevillains is amazing. I love the heel Vaudevillains. They are great in the ring. Simon Gotch is a great competitor. Aiden English is a great competitor. They can both talk. I like Simon Gotch on the mic. I didn't know he could talk until he came to the main roster. So definitely very cool. They have been drafted to SmackDown Live. So it'll be definitely very interesting to see what happens with that team. Now, number 52 is the Shining Stars, and they were drafted to Raw. Don't really have much to say else about that. The Shining Stars are, this gimmick is not working. The fans have no reaction to them, and that's the worst kind of reaction. I remember hearing someone say, well, at least they're not getting booed. It's like, no. You either want to get booed or you want to get cheered, and I don't know what's going on with this gimmick. I like their in-ring work. I like the fact that they don't have masks on them anymore. I like the fact that they can just kind of let them do their own thing. But they need to just kind of tweak this gimmick a little bit because it's not working. But they have been drafted to Raw, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. Maybe they'll give them a bit of a push, and let them. Their in-ring work will get over. Primo and Epico, their in-ring work will get them over, no matter what their gimmick is, because they're that good. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. They're very talented. So that was number 52. And they're being drafted to Raw once again, the Shining Stars. So coming at number 51 is Eva Marie, and she was drafted to SmackDown Live, the only diva so far on the list to be drafted to SmackDown Live. Don't have much to say about Eva Marie. I'm the typical internet mark when it comes to Eva Marie because I don't like her. I respect the fact that she's put in a lot of work. I respect the fact that she is a female wrestler in the business and that she steps in between the ropes and puts her body on the line and so on and so forth. I respect all that. The only thing I don't like about her, folks, is the fact that I don't believe her. I don't believe she wants to be a wrestler. I don't buy it. You know, she's got an interesting look. She is an okay talker. She's a heel, definitely. Her embracing the fact that the fans hate her, I think, was the best move for her to make. She has improved in the ring tenfold since training with Brian Kendrick, but she still has a long way to go, I think, before she starts being a believable competitor, in my opinion, anyway. And that doesn't necessarily mean that she can't do it. If she keeps putting in the work she'll do it. So wish her nothing but the best. But Eva Marie drafted to SmackDown Live. Now, number 50, rounding in number 50, is Mr. Bo Dallas, another member of the Social Outcasts, who was drafted to Raw, so him and Curtis can still do the Social Outcast thing. Interesting to see what happens there. Bo Dallas is, he's one of the most unique competitors that we've seen in a while in the WWE with his, you have to believe, and all that shit, and it's pretty hilarious. I think this is Bray Wyatt's brother, he's a good in the ring. He's always been good in the ring. Still interesting to see what happens with him. Hopefully, either the Social Outcasts start taking it a bit more serious, or he can break away from it. We'll see what happens. But Bo Dallas, number 50 of the draft pick, and he was drafted to Raw. Now, next up, we have our first tag team that was kind of already on the main roster. The Vaudevillains were on the main roster, but I still consider them a NXT tag team, and this tag team is Breezango. I guess they changed the name from Breeze Dango. That's Breezango. They were drafted to SmackDown Live. So far you've got the Vaudevillains and Breezango on SmackDown for tag teams. I'm sure there'll be plenty more to come on the list here, but definitely interesting. I like Breezango as a tag team. I think they play well off each other. They're kind of like high school bullies in a way, from what I've seen of them. I was getting a little sick of their stuff with the Golden Truth, because they were like literally playing like the cocky, arrogant young guys, and it's like, come on, that's kind of lame after a while. But be interesting to see what happens with them. They were drafted to SmackDown Live, and next up, number 48 is one other member of the Wyatt family, the only member to be drafted to Raw in a very surprising move. I'm very, very interested to see where this goes, and that's Mr. Braun Strowman. Out of all the members of the Wyatt family, I think making Braun make a go of it in a singles competition is a horrible idea. I like Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman behind the scenes, I know, is super well liked by everybody. He's an awesome dude. He's hilarious. He's improved a lot in the ring, but he's still... I don't think he's there. He's a big dude, and he's strong. So that's a scary combination for a lot of guys. Green and strong is the scariest combination for wrestlers. So we'll see what happens with him, but wish nothing but the best. But I don't know if the Wyatts are going to keep up with their gimmick and kind of do the whole divide and conquer thing. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But Mr. Braun Strowman, number 48, in the round number 10 picks, was drafted to Raw. Now, next up, we have round number 9, which also was announced during the WWE Draft Center Live on WWE Network. Number 47, we have another NXT women's competitor coming up to SmackDown Live, and that is Alexa Bliss. Now, anyone who knows me knows I like Alexa Bliss. I think she's awesome. She has a very interesting character. She's good in the ring. You know, her whole thing is like she's small but fierce and so forth, and she's a good heel women's competitor, and I think she has a ton of potential. I am really bummed out that they broke Blake Murphy and her up. I would have loved to see those two come up to the main roster together. I think that tag team was over as shit as heel tag team. I think they had they could have had such a great run on the main roster. I don't really understand why they broke them up, but we'll see what happens. I know that unfortunately Blake got injured, but having Alexa Bliss leave them, I don't think that was a wise move, but we'll see what happens. I like to be proven wrong with the WWE, so we'll see. But Alexa Bliss coming up to the main roster on SmackDown Live. Definitely interesting. Her and Carmella coming up to SmackDown. Alexa definitely, I think, is the slightly better competitor out of the two of them. Be interesting to see what happens. I know she's going to get over as crazy with fans, so we'll see what happens. Number 46 in the round number 9 draft pick here, we have Mr. Mark Henry. What do we need to say about Mark Henry? He's Mark Henry. He's legendary status at this point. Don't know how much he has left in the tank, so definitely not surprised to see him drafted to Raw, the flagship show. Keep all your legends and stuff like that on Raw, I think is the best decision. So that's what's going to happen there. Number 45, we have the newcomer to the WWE, who was also at the WWE live event, Mr. Apollo Crews. Quick note here, Apollo Crews cannot park worth a flying shit. No, I'm just kidding. At the event, Apollo, we were right at the guardrail outside, just kind of, yell at the wrestlers and so forth. And he came up and he parked right in front of us. And he just, he didn't park in between the lines at all. And one of my buddies was like, yo, Apollo, you can't park, bro, but you're awesome. We love you. And he get out, big smile on his face. He didn't say hi to anybody or really talk to anybody, which kind of bummed me out. None of the wrestlers really did except for Cesaro. He came around and said hi to everybody, so that was cool. But I'm sure Apollo was probably in a big hurry, so that's all good. But Apollo Crews going to SmackDown. I definitely think he'll be a mainstay player on SmackDown, for sure. I hope, personally, the Intercontinental title gets drafted to SmackDown. I'm keeping it kayfabe here by saying that, because I think he would be a great competitor for that. So we'll see what happens. Number 44, we have Summer Rae. No surprises there. Her work in the ring is okay. Her character's okay. She's okay on the mic. She's overall an okay women's competitor, in my opinion. I want her to get better. I want her to prove me wrong. But she's definitely... She's done a lot of stuff in the backstage world, so to speak, as far as she's on Renee Young's show all the time, Unfiltered, which I highly recommend you check out. So stuff like that. So I'm sure she'll be around for a while, but she's drafted to Raw. And then we have Mr. Zack Ryder drafted to SmackDown Live, so definitely I see him and Mojo bringing the Hype Bros to the main roster, being a formidable tag team. Definitely going to be good with that. So far we have 3 decent tag teams on SmackDown, so that's very good. Zack Ryder. It sucks to see how far he's fallen over the past couple months after his huge win at WrestleMania, his huge surprising win. I like Zack Ryder. Wish him nothing but the best. I love his beard. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with that. So it's Mr. Zack Ryder, number 43, at going to SmackDown Live. And next up, we have the Dudley Boys going to Raw. No surprise there. Keep the Dudleys on Raw. They're a drawing tag team. They're an over tag team. Heel Dudleys is awesome. Not really much else to say about that. They're the Dudley Boys. I love the Dudleys. So that was round number 9. Now we have round number 8 coming up here. This bit here, aside from 2 entries, I'm going to kind of just steamroll through here, just because I don't really have a lot to say about any of these guys. So number 41, we have the Ascension going to SmackDown Live, which is great. I like the Ascension. I've always liked the Ascension. I don't know why they friggin' jobbed them out the way they did. I don't like to talk a lot of smack about the product and say things like that, but the Ascension could have been a crazy, awesome over heel tag team, and they just destroyed them since they came up. So I hope them moving to SmackDown as so far the I'd say the kind of the powerhouse team. Definitely the heel team, them and the Vaudevillains. I definitely see it working out great. I could see them and some of the other teams having good chemistry. Them and the Hype Bros, I could see being a very good rivalry there, because they'd be kind of like the serious Smash Mouth team, whereas the Hype Bros would be kind of like the crazy jokester team who can still get it out in the ring. I think that'd be an awesome rivalry. But again, that's the Ascension, number 41 in round number 8, going to SmackDown Live. We have Mr. Jack Swagger at number 40. He is going to Raw. In number 39, we have Naomi, who is going to SmackDown, adding again another decent name to the women's competition down there in SmackDown Live. Number 38, we have Sin Cara going to Raw. And number 37, we have Kalisto going to SmackDown Live. So breaking up the Lucha Dragons indefinitely. That kind of bums me out. I loved them as a tag team. I would have liked to have seen them at least have one run with the titles, or at least another recent run. I would have liked to have seen that. I think they had a lot of steam left as a tag team, so that kind of bums me out. But it is what it is. I'm worried about Sin Cara because Kalisto is over. He's basically like kind of like the new age Rey Mysterio in a way. I don't like making that comparison, but he is. Unfortunately, that's just how a lot of fans see him. Well, not unfortunately. Rey Mysterio is he was an amazing competitor, still is. But I see, the Lucha Dragon Kalisto. I see that being a thing, and I see that working perfectly. Just Sin Cara, I'm a little worried about. I'm surprised that Sin Cara didn't go to SmackDown and Kalisto didn't go to Raw. But I guess Sin Cara, he's been around a little longer, so they may keep him on Raw. So, but interesting to see what happens. But I am glad that each brand has at least so far one very decent high flyer lucha style competitor. And then number 36, we have Mr. Darren Young with Bob Backlund going to Raw, which is interesting. I see him winning the United States Championship very soon, and that kind of thing. So basically, to see what happens. Or sorry, not winning the United States Championship, winning the Intercontinental Championship. Excuse me. Which makes me think that the Intercontinental Championship is going to stay on Raw as of right now. But yeah, Darren Young, number 36. Darren Young's new gimmick. I wasn't sure about it at first, but I like it. He was also at the WWE live event I went to a couple weeks ago. And he was awesome. He was very good in the ring. He ended up winning that match. Darren Young's always been great in the ring. The first openly gay competitor in WWE. You hate to bring that up in the sense of like that is kind of adds to his character, but in a way it does. They don't talk about it on television, obviously, which they shouldn't. But I'm glad to see they're giving him some kind of a push. Him finishing off his match this past week with the crossface chicken wing. I like it. A lot of people talk shit about it, and I'm like, yo, the crossface chicken wing is a solid submission maneuver. Why would you not want it as your finish? Especially when Bob Backlund's in your corner. Like, what the fuck? That's a no-brainer. So, definitely like Darren Young. Definitely interested to see what they do with him on Raw. So, that was round number 8. Now, coming into round number 7, we have Paige at number 35. She's going to Raw. No surprises there. Hopefully she can kind of pull up her boots a little bit because I know she's had some backstage issues and so forth. But hopefully she can pull up her boots with that a little bit. Demon Kane is going to SmackDown Live, which is good. I think that's a good thing. I'm surprised they aren't keeping him on Raw, but have a big name, legendary competitor down there, I think is a good idea. When I say down there, I don't necessarily mean down like SmackDown's on a lower tier or anything. It's just how I'm saying it. Number 33, we have Titus O'Neil on Raw. Interesting to see what happens there. They're still pushing Titus. I hope they can kind of get stuff figured out with him a little bit because I know he's an awesome guy outside of the ring. So does a lot of charity work and so forth. So definitely interesting to see what happens there. We have the Usos coming to SmackDown Live, which is good. Another solid tag team for SmackDown so far. And then at number 31, we have Golden Truth going to Raw. Not really any surprises there. A legendary competitor like friggin' R-Truth. No, I'm just kidding. A legendary competitor like Goldust. Not that R-Truth is not a legendary competitor in his own right, but I definitely think Goldust is a slightly more legendary competitor in that group. I would want to keep him on Raw. And the two of them, they're over. They're a joke tag team or whatever you want to call it. So, hey, whatever, they're fun. They're entertaining. I dig it. I think it's hilarious. They get paid a lot of money to just entertain the fans and make them smile. And they can still get it done in the ring. It's Goldust and R-Truth. So, they'll get it done in the ring. But that rounds out round number 7 on the draft. Now, we get into the events that actually happened live with round number 6. Starting off at number 30, we have Sheamus, who is going to Raw, which is, again, not really any surprises there, but definitely good that I think he's sticking with Raw. Number 29, we have Alberto Del Rio going to SmackDown Live, which is good. Get another kind of big name, solid competitor there. He'll definitely be in the mid card. In the main card, excuse me. Poor Alberto Del Rio. I'm sure he's pissed off Paige wasn't drafted with him, but whatever. Number 28, we have Mr. Cesaro staying on Raw, which is awesome. Cesaro deserves to be in the main card, and I think that's where they're finally heading with him. His promo he cut apparently was a shoot promo. I don't know. We'll see, but definitely check it out if you guys haven't yet. It was a good promo. Number 27, we have Natalya going to SmackDown Live, which is very good, seeing as how there are two NXT women's competitors coming up. I think having Natalya there is an awesome idea. I definitely would like to see Natalya eventually winning the women's championship. I think it's a bit of a travesty that she hasn't yet. She deserves it. I hope before her career is over, she gets to win it. She was also at the WWE live event I went to, and it was awesome. She was great. Amazing match. I mean, what else can you really say? So yeah, we definitely think it's good for her to be on SmackDown Live. Maybe help out some of the other girls who are maybe not as experienced as her. I definitely think it's a great thing. Hopefully, she'll be a bit of a den mother, quote unquote, so to speak, in a way. But that's number 27, Natalya. Number 26 is Neville, who I am very happy to see back because he is an awesome competitor, and he definitely got derailed quite a bit. I think they were going to do a lot with him before he got injured, so it's great to see him back. Rounding up round number 6 at number 26, of course, Neville going to Raw. No surprises there. Keep him on Raw. Keep him on the flagship show because he needs to be there. I think he will help get that show a little bit more. Him and Cesaro especially. I think they'll give it with kind of like the internet mark fans, so to speak. They'll definitely give them something to talk about with Raw. So definitely good to see Neville there and back in the WWE. So round number 5, coming in at number 25, we have another surprise for me. I was very surprised to see this individual drafted this quickly, especially as how I saw her having a bit more of a run in NXT with the championship. But it is what it is. We have Nia Jax coming to Raw, which is very surprising. She's a powerhouse-style diva, interesting look. She's related to The Rock, so I mean, right off the bat, she's gonna get a bit of a push by the WWE. Whether she's ready or not, guys, she's coming up. I know a lot of fans have been talking a lot of smack about this. I don't mind Nia Jax. You know, I get it. She's not gonna be flashy in the ring. She's not gonna do a bunch of crazy moves. Like, she doesn't need to. So what? She uses a leg drop. Who cares? You know, she's a bigger woman. You know, she's a powerhouse style competitor. You know, she's kind of has an old school feel to her. I like that. So we'll see what happens. You know, do I see her dethroning Charlotte anytime soon? No. And she better not, because if she comes in the first couple months on Raw and she dethrones Charlotte, I'm going to be pissed. Eventually, absolutely. Give her kind of a few months to kind of get used to the main roster, maybe learn a little bit of nuances, so to speak, from some of the other more experienced female competitors, and I think she'd do great. So definitely congratulations to Nia Jax for coming up from NXT as soon as she has, and she's number 25. Number 24, we have another addition to SmackDown Live who is going to make that show even more wrestling-based with Mr. Dolph Ziggler. It's going to be awesome. Dolph, another competitor who he deserves to be in the main card, kind of floundering lately. I hope this gives him a bit more of a push, so to speak, him going to SmackDown Live. He deserves it. He should, as far as I'm concerned, Dolph Ziggler, he should at least be, you know, competing for the championship right now. He should be doing something like that. He should always be in the picture somehow at this point in his career, but he is not really. So we'll see what happens. I wish him nothing but the best. Dolph's one of my favorite guys right now. So number 23, we have another legendary status competitor in the Big Show, who is staying on Raw, which is good. Another big name to stay on Raw. I've always liked Big Show. A lot of people talk smack about Big Show, and the number one thing people need to understand about Big Show, here it is right here. Big Show has been around the block for over 20 years, okay? So, when a younger competitor needs a hand with something, Big Show can help, and he's willing to help, and he wants to help. He wants to put younger talent over. He wants to friggin' help elevate them to a better thing. A win over the Big Show from someone like, say, an Apollo Crews, that's a big deal, whether you'll admit it or not. and it helps get him over. So why would he not stick around for that? Big Show's not looking to win the fucking championship anytime soon, okay? He said it on Stone Cold's podcast even. The number one reason he's still around is to help younger talent. Younger talent want to ask him for help. Younger talent ask him for help all the time. He is almost like he's a locker room leader style guy at this point. He's words of wisdom. He's extremely respected. Why would you not keep him around? I mean, holy shit, guys. Let's just all get over the whole Big Show thing. Keep him around. I like Big Show. Big Show, you're awesome. Keep doing what you do. Now, probably my favorite, I'm going to say right now, draft pick right now in the draft. If I say draft one more time, shoot me. Is number 22, another awesome tag team heading to SmackDown, from NXT, and that is American Alpha. Now, if you guys don't know for some reason who American Alpha are, think of like you've got one Olympic competitor in Chad Gable, who is awesome. He is friggin' insane in the ring. And then you have Jason Jordan as well, who in his own right is an amazing amateur competitor. The two of them are wrestling machines. Take like Kurt Angle and like, oh man, like take like Kurt Angle, like Lance Storm and like, I don't want to say Ken Shamrock, but like take like a bunch of good, like legit technical competitors and put them all together. And you basically have these two guys. They are compared a lot to the world's greatest tag team, Charlie Harsh and Shelton Benjamin. I think they're better, and that's with all due respect to those guys. So those are two great competitors. Definitely have that kind of a feel. They're legit. They are going to dominate on the main roster. Their faces. Chad Gable can talk if they let him talk. Jason Jordan can talk if they let him talk. But they're going to do most of their talking in the ring. I'm so pumped for this. The first night they are on SmackDown, I am definitely going to watch because it's going to be awesome. I see them and the Ascension as well having a bit of a rivalry. Unfortunately, with the Ascensions getting their asses kicked, but that just is what it is. One of my all-time favorite lines Corey Graves ever said, actually on NXT, quick segue, was about Chad Gable. Chad Gable was in the ring, like literally belly to belly suplexing everybody in front of him, and friggin' Corey Graves was like, yeah, Chad Gable is the only man who can walk into a McDonald's, order a Whopper, and get it. Excuse me. And I just laughed and laughed and laughed at that friggin' line. Chad Gable is the only man who can walk into a McDonald's, order a Whopper, and get it. Because he is such a legit ass-kicking machine, no one's going to say otherwise. So definitely very excited to see American Alpha up on the main roster. American Alpha, congratulations, you guys deserve it. Can't wait to see what the future holds for you guys, as well as singles competitors at some point. Now, number 21, we have another one of my favorite tag teams. Probably my favorite tag team on the main roster right now. In Gallows and Anderson, the club. They are going to Raw, which is awesome. I like Gallows and Anderson. I mean, holy shit, what's not to like about them? I actually just listened to Jericho's one of his latest podcasts. It was the Talkin' Shop, which is a Gallows and Anderson's podcast they used to do in Japan. Jericho kind of presented it through his podcast. It was him, Gallows and Anderson, AJ Styles was there a couple times. He's basically just like hanging out in the room, and he said something once in a while. And then Jericho, and they're all hanging out. There's all these voices. It's awesome. I recommend checking it out, guys. You can find that on Podcast One. Jericho's Talk is Jericho. Very awesome. So good to see Gallows and Anderson staying on Raw on the flagship show. They should be there. Now, round number 4. We are kind of getting close to the end here, folks. At number 20, we have Enzo and Big Cass on Raw. No surprises there. Enzo and Cass are amazing. I've talked about them a bunch before. You guys know how much I love them as a tag team, and them staying on Raw is good. I see them with a run for the titles very soon. Maybe afterwards having a bit of a rivalry with Gallows and Anderson. Possibly. We'll see. I don't know. But I see that happening. They're probably the most over entity in WWE right now. So I definitely see that working out well. Number 19, we have excuse me. We have definitely my favorite newcomer to the WWE, Mr. Baron Corbin, going to SmackDown Live, which is good. Baron maybe still has a little bit of work to do on his character on the main roster. But overall, I like Baron Corbin. He hasn't done a whole lot since he's been up there. His feud with Dolph was good, but I hope they do more with him. Baron is he's a good big man, and he's pretty fast. So definitely have to see what happens with him. Just don't give him a mic, and he'll be fine, basically. Or if you're going to give him a mic, only let him say a few words. He needs to be a silent ass kicker. That's my opinion. Number 18, we have probably my favorite guy in the company right now, as far as a heel is concerned. Mr. Kevin Owens is on Raw. Again, no surprises there. Very happy with that. I see him maybe having another United States Championship run soon or something of that nature. Number 17, we have actually just back it up for a second here. Kevin Owens was also at the WWE live show that I went to a couple weeks ago, and he had a funny as hell line. Someone mentioned Brock Lesnar, and he was like, "Oh, why aren't you actually like a real professional wrestler?" Which is awesome. That's hilarious. But the line he said that was hilarious was he was talking shit about Oshawa, right? And he said, "The only good thing about this place is you guys are kind of close to Jungle Cat World." Which, fun fact, my good friend Mr. Brandon Bowden, the producer of the Harder Show, lives just down the road from Jungle Cat World. So that was hilarious that Kevin Owens mentioned that. Maybe he was there earlier in the day. I don't know. But definitely very cool about that. But yes, number 17, we have the Intercontinental Champion, The Miz and Maurice, going to SmackDown Live, which means that the Intercontinental Championship is going to be a SmackDown title, which is awesome. I will be watching friggin' SmackDown to see the Intercontinental Championship. There's a lot of names on there that I've mentioned previously that I think is going to do quite well with the Intercontinental Championship. So very excited to see what happens there. Number 15 in round number 3, we have Mr. Chris Jericho, another legendary competitor who is going to be going to Raw. Not much to say about Chris Jericho. He's Chris Jericho. I mean, he's Chris Jericho. He should be there. Maybe he gets one more with the title. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But number 14, we have Becky Lynch, the last kicker, going to SmackDown Live, which is great. Another very strong female competitor added to that female roster. Number 13, we have Sasha Banks, the boss Sasha Banks, who is going to be going to Raw, which is good. Hopefully, I see her being the one who dethrones Charlotte. I see that happening sooner rather than later. Number 12, we have Mr. Bray Wyatt going to SmackDown, which means him and Eric Rowan are still on the same roster. See what happens. Maybe that means Luke Harper's going to come back fairly soon. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But definitely interesting to see what happens there. I mean, Bray Wyatt is Bray Wyatt. Kind of a bummer that he hasn't done more. Their feud with the New Day has been great. But with them being drafted, that obviously means it's going to be over after Battleground. So we'll see what happens. But Bray Wyatt, number 12, going into SmackDown Live. Number 11, we have Sami Zayn, who is going to be going to Raw, which means that him and Kevin Owens can kind of continue their banter, so to speak. I personally would have liked to have seen Sami Zayn go to SmackDown, kind of be more of he would have been a great member of that roster. Seeing as how it's been more of a wrestling-based roster, but definitely Sami Zayn on Raw is going to help with the internet mark, so to speak. So that's probably one reason why he's there. But that was number 11, the last person of round number 3, Sami Zayn going to Raw. Now we are on our final 2 rounds here, ladies and gentlemen. The top 10 picks in the WWE draft. Number 10, we have the current reigning WWE Tag Team Champions, The New Day. New Day Rocks. New Day Rocks. They are going to be staying on Raw. No surprises there at all. Keep your tag team championships on the flagship show. Interesting to see what happens with the tag team division if they make more titles. I'm sure they're going to be making more titles, not that kind of bullshit, which I am for. I would like to see a whole bunch of titles happen. But them staying on Raw, definitely a good move. Number 9, we have a returning Randy Orton going to SmackDown Live, which is good. A huge star for SmackDown. I think they need all the big stars they can get because kind of let the new era, so to speak, kind of run Raw, I think is the best thing, and give SmackDown some some players, so to speak. So Randy Orton. Number 8, we have the Beast Incarnate, Brock Lesnar, going to Raw. Don't have much to say about Brock Lesnar right now, with all the allegations going on with him right now. I don't see him coming back to the WWE anytime soon. I think it was kind of silly to have him involved with this, with everything that was going on. That's just my opinion. I don't really like Brock Lesnar in WWE to begin with, but that is a conversation for another time. But either way, Brock Lesnar number 8 is going to be going to Raw, which is a huge, huge name for Raw, whether or not I personally like Brock Lesnar or not. Number 7, we have probably the biggest name in wrestling, Mr. John Cena, who is going to be going to SmackDown Live, which is awesome. Gives them kind of their the face of the WWE. Even still, he is still the face of the WWE. You ask someone about WWE, they're probably going to know who John Cena is. Going to be going to SmackDown, which is awesome. We know that John Cena is going to be working more of a part-time base, which is good. You know, he's still going to sell tickets. He's still going to put asses in seats, but maybe slow it down a little bit. I think that's not a bad thing for John Cena. So John Cena, number 7, round 2 in the draft, going to be going to SmackDown Live. Now, number 6, we have a returning from suspension, Mr. Roman Reigns, who is going to be going to Raw. No surprises there at all. Hopefully this won't hurt Roman too much. There's been a lot of rumors going around, which again, I only believe the rumors so much, folks, but the rumors going around that the drugs he got busted for was Adderall, which is interesting. It's a big no-no in the sports world. You guys don't know what Adderall is. Basically, Adderall heightens your senses and your response time and all that kind of bullshit. So maybe it was innocent enough. Maybe he had like a long drive ahead of him and he made a bad decision, something stupid like that. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Depends how much it was in his system. But either way, he's back from the suspension. Roman Reigns, number 6 in the draft. And I bet you $1 million if it wasn't for the suspension, he probably would have been the number 1 draft pick. But I digress. So that was round number 2. We now get to the final round of the WWE 2016 draft. Number 5 being probably, in a lot of people's eyes, the biggest name to get drafted as far as a big surprise. It wasn't really a surprise, but some people say it was. I don't personally think it is a surprise. I saw it coming, but that is number 5, Mr. Finn Balor, being called up from NXT to go straight to Raw as the number 5 draft pick. That is awesome. Wish Finn nothing but the best on the main roster. He's going to be awesome. He's going to do great. So we will see what happens there. I am very interested to see how quickly they push him, because he is definitely going to be over the second he walks in that building. So be interesting to see what happens. But number 4, we have my current favorite superstar in the WWE, Mr. AJ Styles, going to SmackDown Live, which is another reason I will be watching SmackDown. Would love to see him maybe win the Intercontinental Championship soon, at least until they have a main title for SmackDown, depending on what happens with the WWE Championship and all that kind of bullshit. I definitely see Dean Ambrose losing it very soon. So very interesting to see what happens with AJ. I think he should be the face of that brand. I think he should be. They need to get him in that position as quickly as possible, because the fans love AJ. What I saw when I was at the WWE Live event, AJ's over his shit. When he got out of his car, he had a bigger pop than Dean Ambrose. So, I mean, hey, that's my opinion. All I can tell you is all the AJ Styles merchandise sold out quicker than anyone's. AJ Styles over his shit, I think. It's interesting to see what happens. Number 3, in the number 3 draft pick, we have the WWE Women's Champion Charlotte going to Raw. No surprises there. Keep the Women's Championship on the flagship show. Makes sense. Again, interesting to see what they do as far as the titles and that for both rosters. I've got lots of speculation in that, but I will maybe save that for another podcast. Charlotte staying in Raw makes sense. I guess she'll still be pairing with Dana Brooke as her heater. We'll see what happens with that. Number 2, we have the WWE Champion Dean Ambrose going to SmackDown Live, which pretty much to me means for sure he's going to lose his title at Battleground, or sooner or soon after that, whatever. Dean Ambrose going to SmackDown. And then we have the number 1 draft pick, which this is something that kind of, the fact that the WWE champion wasn't the number 1 draft pick, to me, says all that needs to be said. The number 1 draft pick, of course, being Mr. Seth Rollins, who is going to Raw. He's going to be winning the WWE Championship back very soon. I think that pretty much puts the nail in Dean Ambrose's coffin as champion, the fact that he's going to SmackDown. And going to SmackDown isn't a bad thing. He'll be a main player there for years to come. But the fact that he's not the number 1 draft pick is kind of says all that needs to be said, I think, there, folks. So definitely with Dean Ambrose, nothing but the best. With Seth Rollins, nothing but the best. With Charlotte, AJ, and Finn, all nothing but the best. That concludes all the draft picks here. Definitely some very cool, interesting names. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on it. Be sure to let me know in the comments. Shoot me an email. Shoot me a message on Facebook. Whatever. Let me know what you guys think of the draft. Let me know what you guys thought of some of the names. Let me know if there was anyone who was drafted to a certain roster you think was a mistake. You know, I love to always talk to you guys and hear from you guys. Not really much else to say about that here today on the Harder Show, folks. That was the draft starting at round number 11, at number 60, going all the way to round number 1 and number 1. So definitely some interesting names. I was going to do a recap, but don't think I'm going to bother. Everything is said that needs to be said. So definitely cool. Thank you guys very much for listening in today to my WWE draft results / review kind of podcast here. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys enjoyed me doing it alone. Usually when I do this kind of stuff, I like to have my wrestling panel with me, but decided to just do this one alone. Hope you guys enjoyed it. It would have been like 2 hours long if I did it with them. So I wanted to just keep it a little more condensed than that. So definitely something cool with the WWE draft. I'm very excited to see what happens. Very excited to see what happens with all the titles and so forth. Personally, I would love to see something like the European Championship come back, Cruiserweight Championship come back, have 2 different tag titles, have 2 different world titles. I have no problem with that, you know what I'm saying? I think that's only a good idea. So, we'll see what happens, but, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for me here today on The Harder Show. Thank you so much for tuning in and clicking that play button. No matter how you're listening, whether you're on the SoundCloud. If you're on the SoundCloud, be sure to give me a like and give me a follow. If you're listening on the YouTube, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Give this video a like or dislike, depending on what you thought of it. And be sure to let me know in the comments below what you thought of the draft and the picks. And, of course, if you are listening on the iTunes, the easiest way to listen to The Harder Show, be sure to hit that subscribe button to keep up with everything that happens on iTunes for The Harder Show. Once you hit that subscribe button, ladies and gentlemen, you don't even have to think about it. You just set it for download. You go on, and without even thinking about it, The Harder Show will download directly to your Apple device. Whether it's your Mac, your iPod, your iPad, your iPhone, whatever. Doesn't matter how you're going to do it. It will download. And be sure, if you're listening on the iTunes, to leave The Harder Show a rating. Be sure to comment if you leave a rating so I know who you are and I can thank you on the podcast. But that is going to do it for me, guys. Thank you all so much for tuning in today. Have an absolutely awesome rest of your day and week. And I will catch you guys next time on The Harder Show. Take it easy.